Hello and welcome to Connotation Points video Snark. I'm continuing my read-through of The Plan by Qwen Salsbury. Please make sure that you've seen the other videos in my Snark series about the book before you jump into this one. And yes, I'm reaching the end of the book and I'm still not quite sure how to pronounce the author's name. Chapter 28, Day of Employment 388. They're finally going home. At the airport, Emma ribs Alaric for being able to carry his own bags. Yeah, the thing was never actually explained. Hot tip, everybody. You might have heard that he's only mean to you because he likes you. No, he doesn't like you. He's just a bully. Anyway, Alaric complains about the security theater of the TSA. It's pointless and meandering and adds nothing to the plot. Oh wait, I just described the entire book. Oops. On the plane, Emma asks him how he knew all that stuff about her. He's apparently not that blind and knew all about the office bet, although to be fair, Rebecca apparently just keeps the chart sitting on her desk and makes zero effort to actually hide it, so I'm not quite sure if that should count or not, but he figured out that there was some reason why Emma kept winning bet after bet. Another part of it is that Alaric was just doing the same thing Emma had been doing, watching her obsessively. He goes on to say that he had been considering asking her out, but overheard her mention to somebody that she was going on a date, so he chickened out, which is so frustrating. If he'd just paid more attention to her, this entire thing probably could have been avoided. Emma asks him if dating a co-worker like that would have been wise, but Alaric is quick to point out that up until now, he didn't actually work all that closely together with her. He also doesn't give a hoot about any sort of fraternization rules at the company. Alaric says that he's going to tell his bosses that he's in a romantic relationship with Emma when they get back, but Emma first suggests that they keep things low-key, followed by her saying that maybe they should take a break when they get back. She closes her eyes, and when she opens them, he's gone. And we're apparently back on Emma self-sabotaging everything nice that happens in her life. To know that he's on board, yet not with me, is excruciating. You're on a plane. Where is he going to go? When the plane lands, Alaric shows up at the baggage claim to grab Emma's bag for her. He's then like, I don't understand, but okay, I guess I'll wait for you. At this point, following her weird display at Christmas and now whatever she's doing, I honestly don't know how Alaric can still say stuff like that. This girl's got way more issues than anybody previously thought. And sure, maybe she's trying to remove Alaric from the picture, but he's an idiot for staying and trying to convince her to change her mind, and it would be one thing if this was the first time that it had happened, but following the Christmas incident, she's just nutso. And then, just to prove my point as to how insane that Emma actually is, as they're being driven from the airport, Emma then drapes herself over Alaric. Why, you ask? Because she's cold. He doesn't exactly react either way. Eventually, they get to some end destination. Emma asks what Alaric will tell the bosses. He says that he'll keep it short and sweet. Emma then tells him that if he actually paid attention to her, then he would know that she's only ever gone on a handful of first dates and never any second dates. Big yay for him that for the last year I have embarked on a self-imposed boycott. Even when she does intentionally break her boycott, she somehow still manages to be like, but I don't want it. Her logic is just so baffling. Back at Emma's apartment, Clara helps Emma unpack. She asks questions like why Emma decided to quit, even though this is the first time that I'm hearing about this. I mean, she threw around the word a couple of times, but then she decided to give hallway head to Alaric and continued to, work for him after that. Why do I get the feeling that Emma's life is completely and utterly ruled by her inability not to make spontaneous decisions? As they're unpacking, Clara is like, where are the condoms I put in? She's then kind of weirded out that Emma not only banged Alaric, but apparently went through all of the condoms, even though she's the one who put the condoms into Emma's suitcase in the first place. Clara then starts to lay on the best friend guilt, like, how dare you bang somebody and not want to tell me all of the details? But then the phone rings and it's Alaric, because neither of them can apparently go without the other for more than 5 minutes. He makes up some thinly veiled excuse about wanting to make sure that everything's in order before Emma says that she misses him. And sitting and talking with him on the phone for a few hours after she says that she wants to take a break is not taking a break. And by 8 p.m. Alaric shows up at the door, because this is apparently what is meant by taking a break. I'm not gonna let it go because the book brought it up first. The conversation is somewhat stilted while they eat, and I contemplate who first thought hot tomato sauce and fruit would taste good together. Perhaps the same type of person who first looked at a cow's udder and thought, "Gee, I am rather thirsty." Look, Salsbury, we all have weird thoughts from time to time, but we try not to put those weird things into books without any sort of reasoning. She's talking about putting pineapple onto pizza, by the way. And this is a pro-pineapple YouTube channel. You can pry my Hawaiian pizza from my cold, dead hands. Anyway, Clara is oddly cool with the entire thing. Or if she's not, she's hiding it well. I breathe him in. He smells like want. What exactly does that smell like? The two of them start to get a little bit frisky. Alec reminds her that he didn't come there with the sole purpose of banging Emma, but she continues to touch him. Clara yells at them to walk the few feet into Emma's room, which they do. They bang, but at least it's less than a page, so at this point, I'll take it! Alec wakes up to leave at 2 a.m., which is weird if you ask me. He was just going to leave in the middle of the night, but he argues that it would be weird if he showed up for work in the morning wearing jeans, and he has promised his bosses that his relationship with Emma would be low-key. Also, are they still taking a break or not? Yes, I'm still on that. The book brought it up and 5 seconds later apparently forgot that it had. Chapter 29, Day of Employment 389. Emma is back to the same old, same old. I suppose you expect a raise for lasting a week, Rebecca huffs and crosses her arms. Once again stating the fact that Emma had better get one hell of a promotion and a raise just for putting up with all of that nonsense. Madeline is just impressed that she lasted that long, although Emma defends her decision to quit by saying that it was an emotional moment. I mean, she says this, and yet she didn't immediately go home, so I don't know how much quitting that she actually did. Emma then demands to Rebecca that she be given the promised raise regardless, and I suppose that the promotion was only offered for lasting a month, but still, I would still demand that too. I would like a raise even if I'm only working here until graduation. Well, that's fair, I suppose. Gotta pay those bills somehow. Alaric shows up and Rebecca asks him how the trip went. Alaric asks to meet Emma in the break room at noon and then leaves. I move to watch him walk away. I watch him because I can and because I want to and because he is beautiful in ways that I'm just discovering even after a year of studying him for other reasons. That was my boyfriend. And apparently there was a secondary bet going on if Alaric and Emma would bang, which I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. On top of everything else that they're doing, I feel like that bet just seems to be like icing on a pile of shit. But whatever. So the appointed time at which Alaric was supposed to meet Emma in the break room arrives, and, no. I can't deal with this. This entire book has been weird, but at least it wasn't awkwardly painful to read. Also, this is neither taking a break nor keeping things low-key. I will have you know there is probably less pineapple at your average luau than in my system at this moment. Not even German has a 9 big enough. As they're eating lunch together, with everybody watching and openly flirting, the new PA comes over. He is given a name, and it seems vaguely familiar. But me? Remember names? I can barely remember my own name on the best of days. Forget about some too-big character that probably hasn't been seen since before Emma and Alaric left for their trip. And Alaric has returned to his ways of treating his PAs like dirt. Because of course he has. He hasn't evolved or grown as a character. There wasn't some valuable moment where he thought he might lose everything and make him change his ways. He got laid, and Emma might have issues, but they in no way correlated with Alaric learning his lesson. And rather than to tell Alaric that he's a disgusting asshole who shouldn't be allowed to treat others like that, Emma ribs him about it. Not working out already? That is too bad. He seemed feisty. Perhaps I shouldn't elaborate. It would give you an unfair advantage in the latest betting pool. I am already excluded. Some unfortunate nonsense about insider information. Excuse me, I'm gonna go scream in the middle of the forest. And then the book can't help but get in one last parting shot about the author's foot fetish. And then it says, the end. But wait! There's more! For some reason, there's an entire other chapter after this. I was gonna call it the epilogue, but I don't know what to call this now. And now for something completely different. Just over 1 year ago, 7:58 a.m. Okay. As I start reading this, I suddenly realize what this is. The exact same that we've been reading from Ulrich's perspective. This is probably better proof that this is some pulled-to-publish Twilight nonsense than the entire book has been. Up until this point, I could make arguments both for and against, but after 50 Shades did this... Ulrich is in the elevator on his way up to the office. He says the usual kind of nonsensical stuff about business that reminds me way too much about 50 Shades, but from Kristen's perspective. Mainly, I don't think that anybody gives a flying pig about any of it. But the elevator is overcrowded and a certain somebody ends up being back to front with Ulrich's fun stick. Earlier, Ulrich had told Emma that he saw her on the elevator on her first day, and it was sort of a love at first sight situation. But this is more less that first awkward elevator ride, which only really just proves my idea that their relationship won't last long once the initial thrill of banging each other wears off. They don't seem to have much in common and made little point to actually get to know one another. Ulrich is so distracted by what happened and the fact that the lady got off on his floor, he failed to notice that he also didn't get off on his floor. Later, he's leaving his office when he sees the lady from the elevator again. He's surprised that she's so pretty and kind of wishes that she was ugly on the inside just so that he can justify getting over her. But then he decides that he's going to, well, the book words it a lot nicer, but I'm not going to. He's going to stalk her and obsess over her until he can decide if she's a louse or not. And with that, the book finally comes to a close. Overall, this was an incoherent mess of a book that is in desperate need of an editor just to tell Salsbury no. Although as I sit and think about it, even if you were to remove the monstrous thoughts moment that I kept complaining about the entire time, that still leaves instances like Ulrich's unexplained assholery, his inability to grow as a person, and both his and Emma's creepy behavior towards one another. And with Emma, the girl needs to be in therapy. The entire business side of this book is one long example of how toxic work situations can get, but without the benefit of anybody actually learning a lesson on why we don't make bets on other people like that. Furthermore, there was never actually any problem in the book. It started off as a sort of slice of life with some random romance on the side, and I'm fine with that. But when it shifted fully into being a romance novel, that's when all of the book's problems started. There should be a conflict in a romance novel, but not something that completely and utterly came out of nowhere. Furthermore, the actual conflict was resolved in the span of about 20 minutes of in-book time and about one chapter, and then everything went back to being randomly okay. Except for Emma telling Ulrich that she needed a break, but between being halfway home and picking up their luggage, she decided that not even she wanted to do any of that. So all in all, I'm honestly not quite sure how anybody would be able to salvage the dumpster fire that a train crashed into that is the plan. There was nothing remotely likable about any single part of it. I hated every single one of the characters, nobody learns any lessons, and even the plot was miserable and barely there. But hey, I made it through. Thank you so much for listening to my first ever YouTube book snark. I hope that you enjoyed it. Doing the snark has been highly educational for me, and I'm slowly relearning how to use video editors. When I first started doing this video series, it had been my intention to eventually buy a new video camera and start doing actual video and not just memes. But now I think that I'm gonna keep doing the audio only. Yes, I do have my reasons, and it's totally not because I keep buying llama-themed pots on Amazon. Nope, can't possibly be why. Anyway, be sure to hit that subscribe button for when I come back next week with the start of Stalking Jack the Ripper by... Please, somebody, stop me from doing books by people whose names I can't pronounce. By Carrie Maniscalco.